Does your tail ever itch? For the majority of people watching, that question's going to be a little bit straightforward and a lot strange. After all, humans don't have tails, so how can we experience itching from them? Upon closer inspection, this question isn't as strange as it might initially seem. Humans experiencing sensory input from limbs they don't have or used to have is actually a well-documented phenomenon. It's called phantom limb syndrome, and it works a little bit like this. To begin, phantom limb syndrome is when someone is missing a limb they previously had, but still receives sensory sensations as if the limb is still there. This occurs primarily in amputee patients and veterans. In fact, phantom limb syndrome was first documented by French military surgeon Ambroise Paré in 1550s after he observed his military patients reporting pain in limbs he had already amputated. Additionally, it's important to note that phantom limb syndrome, like nearly everything to do with science, still has a lot of unanswered questions. Thankfully, there are a lot of good, well-documented and educated theories and studies to help us explain this interesting phenomenon. For one, a study done in 2013 showed that the sensations are coming from real neuron synapses. They're not made up in the brain. The study took 31 patients with phantom limb syndrome. Researchers found that when they blocked nerve signals from in and around the spinal cord, that the phantom limb sensations stopped. This suggests that phantom limb pain isn't the brain making up pain, the brain is still receiving sensory signals from the missing limb. But how could this be possible? This is known as endotopic firing, or when neurons generate action potential spontaneously and without the typical stimulus. This occurs when the limb is removed and the neurons in the spinal cord still remain. However, they are now without their typical sensory signals. The cells are missing vital chemical reactions and signals previously received from that limb, so they might begin misfiring due to an imbalance of ions and malfunctioning ion channels. This misfiring leads to action potentials being generated even without the typical stimulus. Signals from this misfiring travel all the way up to the brain, where they are then received and processed the same way any other sensory input would be. So you still feel body parts even when they aren't there. Looking forward, phantom limb pain can feel spooky and unusual, but it's more common than you might think. There are almost 2 million people with amputees in America, and nearly all will experience phantom limb syndrome or even phantom limb pain. And while there is still no cure for phantom limb pain, the more we talk about it, the more we can build awareness, representation, and hopefully compassion for those with phantom limb syndrome. Additionally, here are my works cited, and I will also post them in the description of this video. Thank you so much!